Hi, and welcome to Transparent with Tina, a holistic approach for mental, physical, and spiritual well being so you can become the best version of yourself. Welcome to Transparent with Tina. I am Tina Marx, your host, and today's guest is an embodiment and growth mentor and somatic practitioner. And we're going to be talking about the importance of regulating your nervous system for more prosperity and abundance in every area of your life, whether it's physically, financially, relationships, mentally, and emotionally. Welcome, Nina Elise. So glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on here.
So we met one time before because you actually did my human design reading. So we're going to get into that a little bit later, what exactly that is, what somatic therapy is, because you use the combination of those two to make breakthroughs. But let's first hear, I'm always interested to hear somebody's backstory of how you got involved in this work and your personal experience with it.
Yeah, definitely. So I got into, I guess you would call like the spiritual or healing realm in my 20s. I had a lot of health issues. And so I went down this path of trying everything in the physical world, trying my diet and different medicines and going into plant medicine and all of these things. And it wasn't until I really started going inward and tapping into my body to figure out what was really going on a deeper level. And I found that through a series of different tools, and one of them being human design, basically expanding my awareness to see where I was really out of alignment with myself and where I was saying yes to things that were not in alignment for me and that were actually causing disease in my body. And from there, I was able to learn more about the subconscious mind. And so I got trained in hypnosis and mindset work, and among many other certifications. And that was a huge piece of the puzzle for me because basically the body always follows the mind, right? So what's going on an unconscious level we're not even really sure or aware of. So this type of work allowed me to really clear through a lot of financial blocks that I had, helped me heal my relationship with myself. So doing a lot of inner child work along with that. And the last piece of that was somatic work. And really, once I got into that, I was trained in somatic breath work, and it profoundly shifted and changed me. We have so many emotions and trauma that are stored in our body that we're not even aware of. And because the body follows the mind, if we're constantly thinking all these things over and over again, our body is remembering that. And so you can do somatic work, but pairing that with subconscious rewiring work is so incredibly powerful. And so when I work with my clients, this is a really powerful combination of using human design and somatic work and subconscious work together, because you're really going to be able to get to the root. You're going to be able to address a lot of the physical symptoms that you may be having, like I had on my own journey, and being able to really deeply fall in love with yourself and really begin to love and enjoy your life and have it be something that you're proud of, knowing that you're making decisions out of a place of alignment. Because I know a lot of people can feel very lost in life, and they can feel like maybe they're in the wrong relationship or they're in the wrong career. And so a lot of this is inner exploration. And so I went on my own journey and through a lot of trial and erroring, and it's something that I'm able to offer with to my clients as well, to guide them back to themselves as well.
Wow. So this all happened in your early 20s,
Yeah,
right?
my 20s, I'm 37 now. So
Okay.
it's been like a 10, 15-year journey for me to go through all of that.
Can I ask what kind of physical ailments you were having?
A lot of sinus issues, a lot of digestive issues, low energy, a lot of brain fog. I mean, I was a mess. Like,
Right, right.
um,
And the
yeah.
reason I ask that because Austin West, who by the time this comes out, his interview will be out. He was in his 20s, and when he found plant medicine, and I truly believe that your emotions are directly connected to physical disease or ailments.
Mhm.
And he, at the ripe old age of like 20 something years old, had lung cancer.
Wow.
And he said, and I know this to be true, that every disease uh, explains a certain emotion, and the emotion behind the lungs is grief. Okay.
Hmm.
And so he had a lot of grief. And once he cleared that up, the lung cancer went away. And I know
Hmm.
this will blow people's minds, but that's exactly why I do this show, because there
Hmm.
is so much truth. I mean, your emotions are energy. And if we don't express them and release them, which you're talking about, that's what your practice is, they get stuck in our physical body. And if they're not good emotions, they're going to deteriorate our energy and therefore our body, correct?
Yes, exactly. And I really deeply understand. I had adrenal fatigue as well and thyroid issues in my early 20s. And so through this type of work, I've been able to resolve almost, if not all of them.
I
So
think a lot of people have adrenal fatigue. What is the
mhm.
symptoms when you have adrenal fatigue?
Exhaustion is the biggest one.
Exhaustion.
Brain fog
Exhaustion.
is another one. Because, if you're in constant fight or flight state, that's tied to your nervous system. And you're constantly going all the time. We've been in this hustle culture of needing to
Yeah.
do and to succeed. We get burnt out over time because that's not sustainable because we are constantly in that fight or flight state. And so we are putting all of this pressure and stress on our adrenal glands and it's creating this environment in our bodies that's really unhealthy and not sustainable. So we get really burnt out.
Well, it's really interesting because I have been in fight or flight my whole life. I am now my nervous system is finally relaxing, and I find myself tired a lot. And I think it was Austin I was talking to about. I don't know. I've interviewed a lot of people. I don't remember who told me, but it made sense. They said, "Well, you're feeling no." It was something I think from the Abundance Alchemist on Instagram was saying that you are going to feel tired because if your body's been in fight or flight your whole life, it's basically trying to catch up. It's going, I
Hmm.
feel safe to relax now. And I never, I'm sure my adrenal glands were taxed because I was in fight or flight, but everybody's like, how do you have so much energy? For me, it was that alert state having to be on. I don't know why I didn't lose my energy. And I just started healing from this, and I'll be 63 next month. So I went my whole life like that, but it's like the energy, it propelled the energy because I didn't feel safe enough to relax. And that was
Hmm.
now I give myself permission. And there's something you said too. You said you'd self sabotage anything that felt too good because chaos felt safer than stillness.
Hmm.
Rest made you anxious and your emotions felt too big. And no matter how much you accomplished, you always felt behind. And I was like, wow, that's exactly. Oh, I mean, what a relief to kind of read that. And, I think, well, I don't think, I know this is one of the reasons that I do this podcast because I think people are silently suffering. They feel like that's just normal. I felt like that's normal. But then again, I didn't feel it was normal because I did see people succeeding personally, professionally, financially in their life. And here I am, couldn't run any faster and never felt like I was doing anything well. I have a good example. I have a really good example because this just happened yesterday. I bought this couch through the urging of my son. People don't buy a couch unless you've ever sat on it before. Okay, so it comes shipped in shrink wrap. Right, get it out. Don't like it. It's not comfortable. It's not what I thought it was going to be. There's no way to get it back to them because how am I going to shrink wrap this couch? Okay, I'm just giving the backstory on this. But in the past, so my son basically sold it yesterday and he got a really good price. So basically broke even. For me in the past, I wouldn't be able to do that and ask for what the couch was worth. That was tied
Hmm.
to it. It sounds really strange, but somehow that reflected on me. Or like when his dad, we do what are they called? Yard sales, right? Garage sales. I would never want to be out there because I'm like, well, I don't know how much to charge for it. I don't know if this is making sense at all, but it was something even as simple as that I didn't feel like I could do well or could ask for what it's worth because I guess I didn't feel like I was worth anything. So anything that maybe I touched wasn't worth anything. I don't know if the
Hmm.
story is going to resonate with anybody, but that's how blocked and how unempathetic I was to what I was going through. I think I just felt like nothing I touched was ever good enough. And that is
Hmm.
programmed into a lot of people's mind.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's a really common story, especially as women. And growing up, we are told to be quiet or to not be loud, or that men are better than us, or they can climb higher on the ladder than us, and that there's so much worth that is put in success. And so we're taught all of these different ideologies and belief systems about who we think we need to be or who we are not. And that's what creates that stress in our lives. And that's what pushes us to either stay really, really quiet and stay small and say, oh, I don't know my worth, so I'm not going to speak up. And or you could be go in the opposite direction and say, I'm going to bust my butt and I'm going to work so hard to prove to people that I'm worthy of being loved, that I'm worthy of being seen.
Yes. You have to
And
prove,
so,
yes, constantly
yeah,
proving. Yeah. Hey
yeah, would,
guys, okay, let's talk skincare. For most of my adult life, I had a hate relationship with my skin. I struggled with adult acne, discoloration, large pores, psoriasis, and fine lines. I swear, all that changed when I started using herbal face food. I mean, this stuff is powerful. We're talking the world's most potent antioxidant and anti blemish formula. And the serum is the number one anti aging serum in the world, made entirely from 100% botanical plants. No chemicals, no synthetics, 100% all natural. Whether you're dealing with fine lines, dark spots, sun damage, rosacea, psoriasis, melasma, or just want that all day healthy glow, Herbal Face Food has your skin covered. Literally. I've been using all their products for 3 years now, and let me tell you, it's like green juice for your face, only stronger. Remember, whatever you put on your skin goes in your body. So, this is a really important point here, seeing that it's 100% all natural. Give it a try. It's got a 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. Check them out at herbalfacefood.com and use promo code TINA20 for 20% off your entire order. That's herbalfacefood.com because your skin deserves the best.
yep. And
Proving your
so,
worth. I mean, I mean, I think
yep.
my whole existence centered around that. Like, I could not relax and watch a movie without getting up 4 or 5 times.
Hmm.
I've got to go be productive somehow, right? I'm not
Hmm.
worthy unless I'm being productive.
Yeah, and I want to note too that this is you feel this physically in your body, and you may not be thinking directly, I'm not worthy, but the behaviors from that are stemming from the actual core belief system that is underlying that you're not even aware of. And
Yes.
so that's why it's so important to become aware of the unconscious programs that are running the show, because they are what are creating those emotions that are being stored in the body and the behaviors and the actions that you are taking based on those thoughts and those beliefs. So they're all
Right.
connected.
And you can't think your way out of this because that's what I did.
No.
I have been doing self mastery work since my 30s. Okay. And therapy doesn't do it. Uh, you just cannot use willpower to do this because it's stored in your body. You've got to get to the emotion, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's why I find this work so fascinating. And I mean, that's one of the reasons that you're here. So that's one of the things. And you say you don't, I love this. You say you don't need another healing modality. You need peace in your body, clarity in your mind, and confidence in your path. And I think once you have the peace in your body, the clarity comes in and the confidence comes in, right?
Yes,
It's like a
that is what
domino
I,
effect.
yeah, basically. And the thing is, I work with these different modalities, but everyone is going to respond differently based on their belief systems and what they feel safe accepting as a tool to help them on their journey of feeling more safe in their body and being able to relax. So, I mean, you can choose a lot of different modalities, but I personally love working with somatic therapies because once you start to feel more safe and relaxed in your body, you can start to pay more attention to what's going on around you and the thoughts that are going on in your mind instead of being caught up in those thought loops and being in that fight or flight state and feeling like I have to do this or I have to be this way or whatever those thoughts that may be coming up that's creating this in your life. And so when you put everything on a pause, it feels very, very uncomfortable because you've
Exactly.
been, yeah,
Exactly. And you know what? I think I was thinking about that last night. I'm thinking, you know what? I don't think most people think about that they're not feeling safe in their body. I don't think most people
no.
even give it. I didn't up until probably a year ago. I didn't even know what that meant. I did know, I didn't know. I felt very disconnected from myself. I felt like everything was my thoughts. And your
Hmm.
thoughts are not you. They, they, in fact, who did I have on? I think it was Michaela Passeri, who said, that your conscious mind only retains about 10%. The subconscious mind, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but it was something crazy like that. Your subconscious mind is like 90%. So if your
Hmm.
subconscious mind is 90% and you don't, and they're not conscious thoughts, let's break that down. That means that 90% of what you're being driven to do, unless you rewire those, is going to dictate your actions, and your actions are going to dictate what results in your life. So,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, and that's why it's so difficult for people to be still and be in their bodies, because then that means that they're going to have to look at what's coming up, emotions that are coming up that they haven't dealt with for so long. They're going to start to see their creation, which is basically the result of the actions that they have taken, and being able to see like what's really going on a deeper level. And sometimes that can be a really difficult thing to face for most people because you're starting to become aware of where you have been destructive to yourself and to other people around you. And I think this is where a lot of grace needs to be given to you when you're going through this journey of learning to become still and learning how to regulate your nervous system, because it's going to bring up a lot for you. And but that's also the beauty of doing this type of work, because you are coming home to yourself. You're learning how to be kinder to yourself. You're learning how to love yourself. You're learning to give yourself more grace. And in turn, once you start giving all of those things to yourself, you make the world a more beautiful place because you're now
Yes.
able to provide that to other people as well.
I think a lot of people, this might be difficult to digest because we have been conditioned as a society, do more, have more, be more. Everything is by basically just pushing, pushing, pushing. And this way of living, when you become relaxed and your nervous system becomes relaxed and your body relaxed and learns to trust and feel safe, that is when you can really attract things as opposed to forcing things to happen, right?
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I want to note too that it when you do nervous system work and this type of somatic work, it doesn't mean that your life is going to get less chaotic. It most likely will, but we're humans. Like we're gonna have things come up in our lives. It just means that when these things happen, you're going to be able to walk through it and
Yes.
feel much more calm and grounded versus being reactive to it.
And being
Yeah.
frantic. Yes.
Hmm.
Everything was frantic for me, even the
Hmm.
simplest of things. Yeah. So there's so much to it. And you say you're not broken, you're burned out by being someone you're not. I love that because really, I've said this so many times, we're not robots, we're not machines, but we treat ourselves as we are, right?
Hmm.
Instead of, of really, that's where the burnout is trying to be somebody that you're not, something that society says that you should be, or especially now with social media. I mean, social media has its plate. It's a great platform, but you got to kind of have to watch that too. So you said that human design became your map and somatic work became your anchor, and
Hmm.
what you now call the conscious human design became the foundation for everything that you teach. So let's start with the human design.
Hmm.
Tell everybody what that is. It's fantastic. You did a mini reading on me last week, and I was familiar with it, but nobody's really done a reading on me. So tell us a little bit about human design.
Yeah, human design in simplified terms is, I would call like an advanced personality test. So if you're familiar with astrology or the Enneagram, I would say it's kind of like a combination of the two. But human design itself is rooted in astrology, the Hindu Brahma chakra system, the I Ching, the Kabbalah tree, and then you also have quantum physics there in the mix. And
Mm.
basically, you're imprinted with a certain amount of traits. At different times before you were born and the moment that you are born, that basically create this blueprint or this map of how you are meant to naturally operate and make decisions and live your life in this world that are very natural to you. And it's basically this map that we all wish that we had when we were born, because we don't really
Yes.
have instruction manuals, right? And
Right.
so what ends up happening is from a very young age, from about age 0 to 7, we do not have a filter from our conscious mind to our subconscious mind. We are sponges. So we're constantly taking in our environment, the behaviors of the people around us, the beliefs of the people around us. And we're just constantly taking that in without saying, oh, this is good or this is bad or this is not okay for me. We don't know. We don't really have that filter at that moment in our lives. And so we become a condition of our environment. And so we don't have that map at a young age to say, hey, this is how you actually become an authority of yourself and make decisions from a place that feels correct in your body, that feels safe for you. You're
Yeah,
actually
I'm going to
learning.
interject here because you know what? I do know that between the ages of 0 and 7, it's like 80% or more of your belief systems are in place. By the time you're
Yep.
11, you're cooked. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, you didn't have the chance to go, well, that's not for me. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's not in alignment with me, and that doesn't resonate with me, or whatever. It's forced upon you. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So tell
Yeah.
us that there's how many different, because I know I'm the projector, and there's the projector,
Yep.
then there's the manifester, the generator.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, so when you put in your exact birth date and time and the location of where you're born, you get a chart that is generated. And it's based on, if you're familiar with the seven chakra system, it's based on a nine center chakra system. And from that, you are one of four different types or five different types. So you have the manifestors, which make up about, um, I would say, 8 or 9% of the population. They are the initiators. They're here to bring bigness into the world, bring new ideas into the world. Then you have the projectors, which are about 21% of the population. They are the guides. They are here to guide energy. They are kind of like the sages on our planet. And then you have your generators and your manifesting generators, and they make up about 70% of the population. They have a defined sacral center, which is kind of like this motor that they're here to respond to the world to. They're here to execute and say yes or no to things based on their gut response. And then you have the reflectors, which are about 1% of the population, and they're here to reflect back the health of their community and their environment and the people around them. So, in a perfect
Interesting.
world, you would have the manifestors who are initiating, and the projectors take that and they're like, okay, this is, we can look at this from a different perspective, and I'm going to work with the generators to guide their energy to execute. And then the reflectors are kind of like the foreman in the background saying, hey, like this is going well, or they're reflecting back what's working or what's not working. So, and that's how it would all come together in like a cohesive way. But as you can imagine, that's not really what's happening because we're so disconnected from our bodies and from our inner authority that we're constantly saying yes to things or saying, I'm not worthy, or I'm going to take this action from this belief system that says I'm not good enough, or like I'll never be good enough. And so you're making decisions from what human in the human design world they'll call the not self, or you could call it the shadow aspect or a belief system. And this is your conditioning that's causing you to make decisions from that place instead of tapping into your body and saying, this feels correct or aligned for me.
It's like trying to put a round peg into a square hole. And you know, if we stop and think that there's no two people, well, I guess identical twins, but other than that, no two people look exactly alike and then how many people there are in the world. So if we think about it from that term, yes, we can understand that. But then why do we try and fit in with everybody else? Why wouldn't we think that we're all unique in nature, you know? So why is this important? This is important, for example, for me, I'm a projector. The more you know about yourself, the more compassion you have, and the more ahas, and the more that you can actually step into your greatness and harness your power. So one of the things about being a projector is I need a lot of downtime, you know. And for years, like, I would be, offer get invitations to go here and go there. That's also part of me being an introvert extrovert. I heard it's like I'm secretly happy when the party's canceled, but because I feel like I should go, but I never really understood that. And it's like just understanding that has made a big difference, and knowing that allows me to kind of take a breath and go, hey, that's part of who you are. You're not being lazy. You're not
hmm
being unmotivated. You just need that in order to like recharge, right?
Yeah, I mean, human design is a permission slip. And so if you
Yes,
think about
yes.
your whole life, we've been so conditioned and we're in this box, and then we go learn about human design and we're like, "Oh, there are potentialities that exist outside of this box of who I can actually be, and it's actually very natural for me." And so it takes that pressure off of you and that shame and that guilt and provides so much more freedom in your life.
And it conserves energy because if you know what you're designed to do, you're not trying to force it into another way,
hmm
like forcing myself to go out if I didn't want to go out, or forcing
Yeah.
myself to work. Not, I never could. That was a hard thing for me. Like when I haven't worked for somebody in I don't 20 something years. No, it's been longer than that. But I couldn't be this 9 to 5 person because I need breaks. I cannot continually work 9 to 5. And I know people that can work 12 hours a day. I think I'd be in a loony bin if that was the case. I need to,
hmm
that's part of it. So I think that, I think there's a lot of people that suffer with that too. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not working long enough. And if I
hmm
don't do this, then I'm never going to succeed. And then they get overwhelmed. And then what happens when you get overwhelmed? You shut down like I used to. I get shut down for days and just being like paralysis going, I don't know what to do. I mean, seriously, we got
hmm
to the point where I felt like I was going a little crazy. And you're not going
hmm
crazy. You just don't have an understanding of what you're going through mentally and physically and spiritually for that matter. Um,
hmm
so you offer I was on your website this morning. I got my personalized because you did a little mini reading on me, but this is
hmm
a 40 something page, right? Is that the personalized one?
Yeah, 50 plus page, depending on your design. Yeah.
So tell us what somebody can expect if they order that.
Yeah, it's one of my most popular PDFs or my downloads on my website. So it's a 50 plus page personalized blueprint of your human design. And it goes more in depth into actually how to read your chart. Because if you pull up your chart, you can pull it up for
Yeah,
free on
it's
my
hard to,
website.
yeah, yeah.
You're like, what am I looking at? And so it basically breaks it down. So it's super easy to understand exactly what you're looking at from your chart, and then how you can expand your awareness of where things are actually showing up in your life and why you're making the decisions that you're making, and then starting to show you how you can actually make decisions based on what's in alignment for you and your design. And so what's really powerful about this blueprint that I offer on my website is that there are a lot of self-reflection questions based on specific aspects of your design that allow you to start to pay attention to why you're making the decisions that you are. Because we don't really stop and question why we do the things that we do or why we take action or do different things in our lives. And so
Mhm.
this allows you to pause and get quiet for a second and to actually sit with yourself and start to get honest and say, where am I showing up and why am I showing up? Like, what is the reasoning behind why I'm doing these things? And that's why I love using human design as that tool, because it is the first step in your journey of understanding yourself, is expanding your awareness and taking a step back and saying, oh, wow, like, do I really need to be doing this? Or do I have to be this way? Or do I have to be like everyone? And then that's the
Mhm.
permission slip of saying, oh, well, I don't have to. Okay, well, let's make this a game. And so for me, human design became this game or this experiment to say, okay, if this is my design and I actually implement this into my life, what does that look like? What does that feel like? Oh, I like that. Or no, I don't like that. Or this feels really natural for me and I feel really powerful. And so it's a very personal experience for you to really know and understand your design and then to actually experiment with it.
Right. And this is going to lead you to get into a flow state if you have this
hmm
understanding and you start doing the reflection, doing the exercises, start putting certain behaviors. As you used, I always use the word behavior stacking, one step at a time. I mean, that
hmm
all is going to lead you more into a flow state as opposed to a force state. So people can find
hmm
that on your website, which is just Nina Elise, Elis.
Nina-elise.com.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. If you just type in the browser, that's what I did because I just typed it in and you came right up. Um, so let's talk a little bit about somatic therapy now.
hmm Yes. There's so many layers to this, and it can be approached in so many different ways. But Soma means of the body. And so when you're doing any type of somatic work, you're working with the body. And as you mentioned earlier, you were saying how you felt so disconnected from your body. And that is so, so common because we walk around, carrying our phones everywhere we go, and we're just like tied to that. And there's like no awareness of our bodies and like what we're feeling and like what's happening in our bodies. Or we're just numbing ourselves because we don't even know that we're avoiding feelings.
Yeah.
But there's a
We
part of
just know
us
we
that
don't
is
feel good. Yeah.
our subconscious mind is protecting us because we don't want to feel what's happening deep down.
Yes.
And so when you do this type of, I don't like to call it work necessarily, it's like when you're coming back home to yourself and you have an awareness of something is not working in my life and I'm open to exploring how to become more connected to myself or do something different, this is an option to explore that is incredibly powerful that will reconnect you back to your body. And so the way that I personally use somatic work is with somatic breath work. And
Yes.
I specifically like using somatic breath work because it's incredibly empowering because it's just you and your breath. And so instead of having someone telling you to do something or doing something for you, you are literally coming back to your breath and coming back
Yes.
into your body on your own. And then you are allowing your body to naturally process emotions that come up and allowing the nervous system to regulate itself where it had not been able to regulate it before.
So my
So,
doctor says that we don't die from old age, we die from inflammation. And I couldn't agree more. When I found him a couple of years ago, I was not in great shape. I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, and he found out it was all related to my gut. Did you know that 90% of your dopamine and 90% of your serotonin are made in your gut? Okay. So I have been on all of his products ever since that day. But the ones that I want to talk to you about are the alkalizers. He's got one for coffee and he's got one for alcohol. What do? They make the beverage from acidic to alkaline. So important because if your body is too acidic, it is a breeding ground for disease. So you want to keep your body in an alkaline balance. So with the coffee, it comes either for black coffee or it comes flavored as a creamer. I love the flavored ones. Vanilla is my favorite, but I also love the hazelnut. They're all delicious. One scoop, and it does not break your fast for one. It changes your body, your coffee from acidic to alkaline, which you don't have to feel guilty about drinking coffee anymore. And the one for alcohol does the same thing. 5 drops into any alcoholic beverage, and it will make it from acidic to alkaline, meaning no hangover. It doesn't change the taste, it doesn't change the color, and best of all, it doesn't change the buzz. You can still drink and enjoy yourself all the while knowing that you're not causing inflammation in your body. So go to www.getoffyouracid.com and use the promo code Tina Marks 20. Again, that's www.getoffyouracid.com, promo code Tina Marks 20, and get 20% off your entire order. Right.
so
That's what breath work does. It helps you
mhm.
deregulate your prefrontal cortex, right? By calming the body down, slowing the body down, making basically physically letting your body feel safe. Isn't that what the purpose of breath work is?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different types of breath work. With somatic breath work, it's actually two different types of breath. And this is why it is so, so powerful because the typically I'll do hour-long sessions and they're pretty intensive and they're incredibly
For breath
powerful and you
work, you'll do an
feel
hour long.
yes.
And will is it guided? I mean, are you talking
Yeah.
and instructing the whole time? Right?
I'm guiding the whole time with music. So literally you just lay there and you just listen. And so the first half, it's intentionally activating the sympathetic nervous system or
Yes.
and so you're actively stressing the system essentially to
Yes.
bring up stored emotions in the body.
Yes.
And it's done intentionally that way so that you can come up to for they can come up in order to be expressed,
Right.
because if you've been holding it in your body for how many years you're not even aware of it, and it can be
It's not gonna
expressed
it's
in a
not
lot
gonna
of
want to come up. No. It's like if
yeah.
you yeah, I get it. Yes.
Yeah. And
Exactly. And the
so,
first part is intense. I mean, I've done it a couple times,
yeah,
those hour-long
yeah.
ones. I forget his name. He
So
goes by.
there's holotropic breath work, and so some people may have experienced that. It's kind of similar, except it's a two-part breath, but it's powerful because you are releasing, and you're releasing like you're shouting, you're crying, you're laughing. Like it's going to be different for every single person every single
Yeah.
time you do it
Yeah. Yeah.
because the body is so wise, it will bring up what it needs to process next. So know that you
In
can
order. Yeah.
yeah, you can trust that.
Yes.
Um, and what's beautiful about somatic breath work is after the first half of the session, you're going pretty deep. That's why it's an hour long. The second half, you switch your breath work to one that activates the parasympathetic nervous system.
Hmm.
So now you are giving your body a chance after it's expressed itself to begin to naturally regulate itself. So that might look like, giving yourself a hug or rubbing your arms or like laying on your side and just curling up there for a moment. It
Hmm.
could be, you might be having these visions. You might be having, this
Hmm.
really deep connection and getting all these messages and these downloads during that time period. And it's a very beautiful time period in the breathwork session to slow down and to feel safe and to feel supported, but it's just you. And that's why it's so powerful because you don't have any props. Like you're just laying flat on the ground, yet you feel incredible because you've just released this heavy
Yeah.
emotion you've been carrying your entire life, most likely. And now you're able to regulate yourself and you're empowering yourself to say, oh, I can handle this. And when you do that, the body is like, oh, I feel safe. So now it's not going to, shrink and not speak up during a meeting, or like when you're afraid, it's going to feel more confident to say, oh,
Right.
I can actually say. And it's something that becomes natural. You don't have to try to force it anymore.
Some people say that it's the equivalent of plant medicine journey, breath work, and it can be.
Yeah,
It
it
really
can be.
can be that
Mhm.
transformative. So, yeah, and that's so you do that with your clients on your one-on-one, correct? So that's part
Yep.
of what you do, and then you go over the human design, probably in
Mhm.
detail, make suggestions, things like that, right? What is the difference between an somebody that's an energy healer and this kind of work?
Um, uh, it depends on what type of energy work somebody does because they're working in more in not just the 3D world. So, when you're doing human design and somatic breath work, you're working more in this three-dimensional reality, except you're bringing a person back to themselves to go inward. When you're doing energy work, you're actually moving energy, depending on what you do. Maybe you're doing Reiki or something like that, that
Right.
helps move things on a different plane of existence, essentially, that we may not be aware of in this three-dimensional reality.
So if somebody did, because I've done a lot of energy work, and I'm just thinking if they clear your. First of all, let me say this: how often do you do for yourself breath work? Do you continue to do it?
Yeah, I'll do it anywhere from 1 to 3 times a month because the somatic breath work that I do is very intense. And so there's time, you need time for integration
Yes.
when you do it. And so for me at this point, I've been doing it long enough to be like, oh, like I've got some stress build up. I'm going to go, do a breath work session, or my body will basically tell me when it's time to do
Now, do
one.
you do it on yourself? Let's say somebody works with you for a while and now they're on their own. Can you do the breathwork sessions on your own? Like do you offer like a guided breathwork on anywhere on your website or any of your offerings
I
outside of
have a,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
like a
have
recorded one. Yeah.
a shorter one I have a couple shorter ones on my YouTube. That's more for like a reset, like, if you're in between meetings or you're feeling a little stressed out. If I've been working with somebody and doing breath work with them for a while and they are familiar with the practice, then yes, I will give them a recording or I'll give them a playlist and they can go along and do that. But I recommend doing some sort of guided, either in person or through a recording if you've been doing it for a while, because you're always going to need someone to cue you up at the different intervals during the breathwork session.
Yeah. Okay. So this is continuing work or however you want to put this. This isn't something, okay, now you're good to go for the rest of your life. So the breath work would be continuing, right? And the human design is there. Is that a continuing thing too? Or once you kind of learn what you are, what your, I don't want to say weaknesses, but maybe things that need to be healed or is there anything more that you would need to do for your human design once you know what you are and what triggers you and all that?
Yeah, of course. But I would say this about anything that you use. It's not that you're going to be dependent on it like a drug or whatever. It's more of like maintenance, if you
Hmm.
want to call it that, with the
Hmm.
breath work, because we're humans. We're going to have stress. We're going to have trauma. We're going to have things that happen in our lives that we're not able to fully process. And so breath work is that tool that you're going to have in your tool belt to take out and use when you need that extra support in your life. Human design, same thing. Like if you think about, where you were at in your 20s and that level of consciousness versus where you're at now, if you were to read a book in your 20s and then you read the book again now, you're going to have a completely different
Different
perspective
take on it.
and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
understanding it. And so it's that way with your human design. You're going to look at it at a certain level of consciousness and you're going to have an awareness of something. But as you get older and as you evolve and as you grow, you're going to go back to that and you're going to go deeper and you're going to see things that you didn't see before. So for me, it's this reference. Again, it's this map that I can always go back to and say, wow, I'm feeling really stuck in my life. Okay, let's look at where these potential shadow aspects are. Where can I step more into my own gifts? Where can I communicate better with somebody else? Where can I take responsibility for my actions and do things different because what I'm doing is not working? So
Right.
a tool you can continuously use. Yeah.
And I was thinking about it this morning. I was thinking this is probably the root of most addictions, being emotionally dysregulated, your nervous system.
Hmm.
Think
Yeah.
because if you have this underlying anxiety all the time, which you do if you're not emotionally regulated, right? You're going to
Hmm.
do things to numb out or get away from it. To, like you said, to get away from the uncomfortableness, the
Hmm.
unsafety, and everything else. So what I'm finding is anything that was any kind of behaviors that weren't great for me are starting. They naturally fall away, whether
Hmm.
it's scrolling too much or feeling like I've got to watch, another show or whatever it is. But it does because your body starts to feel safe and starts to naturally go towards things, not to like numb out or get away from it, but it starts to go to things that are actually pleasing for you, that actually move you forward, that make you even feel you start attracting different people. There was another thing that you talked about on one of your YouTubes is about boundaries too.
Hmm.
And, let's talk about that a little bit and how important that is for your regulation.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you're a dysregulated person, I can guarantee you that you probably do not have good boundaries. And I'm
Hmm.
saying that from a place of deep love because that's something that I've had to work with very deeply over the years of learning how to say no and learning how to speak up and share what my needs are and be able to communicate those. And even when it doesn't feel good. But if you think about it, I mean, you talked about addictions earlier. A lot of that is rooted in underlying insecurities or emotions like shame or guilt.
Hmm.
And that is a very deep subconscious thing that is causing people to do the things that they are doing. And so that is again, the subconscious mind has created these ways to either not feel or to protect itself so that
Hmm.
it doesn't have to feel those things.
Hmm.
And so that can look like not having healthy boundaries because people are unconsciously trying to protect themselves in some way, shape, or form. And they do
And
that
not
by
feel the uncomfortableness. Yes. Yes. The
exactly.
people pleasing and all
Yeah.
that. Right. And the more
Mhm.
safe you feel within yourself, you feel like you can do that and you can step away.
Yes. And once you start to set healthier boundaries, I think this is the hardest for people who have a very deep fear of rejection or not being loved. Because when
Mm.
they start saying no to people, then other people are not going to like that. And then they're afraid of losing sometimes the only people that actually accept them. And when they start to go down this journey of giving themselves permission to be themselves and accept themselves, people are going to start to fall away from their lives.
I
And that's
think
really
people
uncomfortable.
I think people that it's naturally going to happen. The more that you heal,
Hmm.
people are going to fall away. In fact, I've had this is the third person in a month and a half. And now before felt this healing, that would have scared me. Like you
Hmm.
said, it would have scared me because, or even doing the work to know, like when they say, when if somebody were to say people are going to, you're not going to be in your life anymore. I think that scares a lot of people because it's all about the
Hmm.
familiarity. We are so conditioned to go, our mind is always searching for something familiar. Um,
Hmm.
and I think our bodies are too. But you know what? It's like instead of looking at it that way, you got to look at, you're opening up your vessel to more, and really, the only constant in life is that things change. And I think
Hmm.
we have been conditioned to believe that things stay the same. I think that's another thing that we really have to understand, that we're always evolving if we allow ourselves. You're not just standing still. You're either moving forward or you're moving backward.
Hmm. Yes, I agree. And I want to share a quick story too, because I think this will help people kind of see this from a different perspective. But sometimes people leaving your life can be one of the best things that ever happened to you.
Yes.
And I say this with such deep love because, I was in a relationship with someone. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with him. And when that relationship ended, it was like a complete crumbling of my world. And what I learned from that experience, I'm so, so grateful for because it was, I don't want to say it was codependent, but it was very much like I was giving my power away to this other person. And in him leaving, I saw all the ways that I did not have healthy boundaries,
Mm,
where I did not respect myself,
mm-hmm.
where I was saying yes to things I didn't want to, where I was out of my own power because I was putting him on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that person left my life, all of those fears and insecurities came up to the surface about being abandoned and being rejected and
Mm-hmm.
all of these things that I had been, pushing beneath the surface that I wasn't even aware of. So
Mm-hmm.
when he left, it just triggered this whole volcano of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my work to be able to sit with that and to give myself love and compassion and say, okay, where have I not been kind to myself? Where can I love myself? Where can I learn to set healthier boundaries? And
Mm-hmm.
that was my journey of learning to regulate my nervous system, doing that inner child work, seeing what my underlying belief systems were and owning that. And I think that is like a really challenging thing to do, but it's the
It
most incredible.
it's challenging, but it's more challenging to keep making the same mistake because every time
Yeah.
we've all done it, okay? We've all done
Yeah.
it. And I'm not in my head because I'm thinking of somebody 3 years ago and I felt, oh, the same thing. We weren't getting married or anything like that. It wasn't that deep. But I gave my power away. And, they say rejection is protection. Hey, real quick, let's talk about something we all deal with, but never really think about. Electromagnetic radiation. Yeah, EMF. It's everywhere from our phones, laptops, Wi Fi routers, even our smart fit fridges. And no, I'm not saying ditch your tech. I mean, who could? But I am saying you can protect yourself from unnecessary exposure with Aries Tech. Backed by peer reviewed studies and independent testing, Aries Tech makes compact, science backed EMF modulation devices that help reduce the effects of electromagnetic radiation on your body. Rather than blocking the EMFs, Aries Tech's products work with your own body's electromagnetic field to balance out the effect. Yes, you heard that right. Our body is made up of energy, and this works with your own energy to balance out the effects. I've got one around my neck, one on my phone, and one in my living room. And honestly, it gives me peace of mind knowing I'm doing something small that can make a big difference over time. So, whether you're working from home, gaming for hours, or just scrolling your feed in bed, protect your space. Check them out at ariestech.com and use the code TINA25 for 25% off your order. That's AIRES tech.com because your body deserves better. So,
Mhm.
you can either keep doing, if I were to have gone back into another relationship before I did this work, same with you would be going back in with the same, it would have ended faster because
Mhm.
now you're feeling
Yes.
less about yourself and bringing less to the table. I mean, it's so true. They say fall in love with yourself or be the person that you want to attract. And it's so true.
Mhm.
I mean, I used to feel so attached to having somebody in my life. That was just like,
Mhm.
now I was just telling somebody the other day, it was the first time in my life that I felt like, I don't know if I want somebody in my life day in and day out.
Yep.
I mean, if the right person shows up and that works out, but I'm not attached to that outcome anymore.
Mhm.
And that is a proof of self-love that I did not have
Mhm.
before. Because, the old saying, Jerry Maguire, I need somebody to complete me. No, you don't need
Mhm.
anybody. You need to complete yourself first, then you can attract the right people and the right
Hmm.
projects and the right income and everything. I mean, it really does. Like I started the show off saying this is going to bring more abundance in your life physically, mentally, spiritually, physically, romantically. It has to. It just has to because you are awakening to the best version of yourself. So
Hmm.
you're going to be better than you were before. And if you keep
Hmm.
this up, I mean, the more self-love that you have, the more that you can ask for that raise or charge more money or,
Hmm.
ask for more in a relationship. I mean, the person that you just described that left you, you probably weren't asking much out of the relationship either. You were probably, he, I don't know, for me, it was like breadcrumbing. You know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the situation and the person. I think for me, the way I look back on that, I have so much love for that person, even though we no longer speak.
Uh-huh.
Like, I have such deep love in my heart for that person because I'm like, what a gift
He did
this
you a favor.
person.
That's what I was just gonna say.
He did me a favor, not because I think he's a bad person or anything, but that was his role in my life to bring me back home to me.
Well, not
And
only that,
like,
yeah, and not
yeah,
only
yeah.
that, think about it. If you had this fear of abandonment, which I think we all do, and that was
Hmm.
my thing, you're gonna be. I had terrible separation anxiety. Like if that they weren't around, even with my son, I had that. It's like anybody that I loved, if they weren't around, I had that like anxiety. So you can imagine what it'd feel like for the other person too.
Hmm.
You know, I
Yeah,
mean, who wants to be
100%.
around that, right? That's draining your
Yeah.
energy.
Well, I mean, we're all mirrors to our to each other anyways. And so that's another thing I want to mention too, because it was 3 years till I started dating. And now I'm like, dating an incredible human being. But it took that time period for me to look at myself and what my patterns were and take 100%
Hmm.
responsibility for what I was projecting onto other people and the type of people that I was basically inviting into my life. And so for me, what was showing up in my reality, that was a reflection of what was happening inside of me and where
Inside,
I
exactly.
still needed work to do, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And
yeah,
you know what? We
yeah,
place too much on the exterior. Oh, I'm not tall enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not. No, it's really your
no,
energy. It's really your energy. And
100%.
if you feel that way, how's anybody else going to accept you? If you can't accept
Hmm.
yourself, why would you expect
Yep.
anybody else to accept you? I mean, I remember long, long ago, it's like I think most of us are waiting to be quote unquote saved. And
No,
Mel Robbins, I love
it's
this
not gonna
video that
happen.
she says. Have you ever seen that one? She goes, nobody's
Yes.
coming to save you. And I love that.
Yep.
And it's a hard truth, but it's true. And I think this is why
Hmm.
people sometimes get in romantic relationships because they want to be saved. And then they wonder why that's not fulfilling them or making them happy or making them
No.
even maybe more unhappy, right? Because there's something that is not healed inside of you. So let
Hmm.
me ask you, what are three things? Boy, first of all, by the time this airs, your free masterclass will have been over. Okay, which is
Hmm.
going to be a bummer for people hearing this. But do you have any other ones lined up for people that once they watch this or listen to this podcast?
Yeah, so I'll actually have the recording of it on my website that they can go back and watch.
Oh,
So it'll
wonderful.
be more impactful to watch it online or in real time because then you can ask questions and interact. There's a guided meditation, somatic breathwork and meditation that I'll be guiding you through. But it will be on my website for people to use, and I will be doing more later down the road too.
Oh, that's perfect. So
Yeah.
that would be the first thing. And also, what I
Hmm.
ordered today, the other thing, it says on your website, start here to order their
Hmm.
human design personalized one. So that and the master
Hmm.
class, then they really get a taste of what this work is about. And if they want to work
Hmm.
with you one on one, that's
Hmm.
also on your website as well. And I think you require what, a 3 or 4 month commitment?
A minimum 4 month commitment because this is really deep work that we're
Deep
doing,
work.
and I only
Right.
take on a certain amount of clients every single year because of the nature of the work. Like this
Hmm.
is not something to just sign up for and be like, okay, I'm gonna like fix all my
Yeah. After a
relationships
month
and
go, this
whatever.
isn't working. No, it doesn't work that.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is gonna be me supporting you to looking at really deep parts of yourself and helping you evolve into different levels of consciousness that you are not aware of by getting to know yourself. Like, I'm not here to tell you who to be or what to do, but I'm here to guide you to the
hmm
best decision for yourself and your own evolvement in the way that makes sense for you. So,
Right, exactly. Okay, what are three things, somebody listening right now, what are three things that somebody could start like today to start help regulating their nervous system to feel safe?
Yeah, the easiest thing, number one, would be just to sit in silence for 3 minutes.
Oh,
And I say, and I
I
say
know.
three
I'm
minutes.
laughing because most people are going to be having that very difficult to do. Yeah, because your mind likes
Yeah.
to take over just to watch your mind and see what it does, right?
Watch your mind, see if your body can get super still and see how that feels for you. Because then now what you're doing is you're starting to gain an awareness of where you're at mentally and somatically. Because if you are struggling to sit still just for 3 minutes, because your mind can still be wandering, that's normal. Like I sit in
Yeah, it
meditation and my
can't
mind
sit. Your mind
wanders.
doesn't sit still. No.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It's just like you've been going all the time and consuming all the stuff. So when you sit down, naturally your head is going to be filled. That's the point of why you sit down, right? But
Right.
it's starting to pay attention to what kind of thoughts are going on in your mind. Are they filled with the stuff that you're looking on social media? Is it with this problem that you've created that has, created this chaos in your life? Or can your body even sit still for a second? Like, how does that feel for you? And so you learn to sit with the uncomfortableness and sit with the feelings that come up. So that would be the first thing that I would recommend.
Mm-hmm.
The second would be if you cannot sit still or you're struggling to sit still, it doesn't mean you need to sit and meditate in order to like become enlightened because there are so many different ways that you can meditate. And so I recommend prioritizing every single day for at least a few weeks, some type of movement or meditation that you can do that takes you away from your computer, your
Mm-hmm.
electronics, anything like that. For me personally, it's going for a walk every single day. Even if it's just 10 minutes, I
Mm-hmm.
get out of my house, I get fresh air. I don't have my headphones, I don't have my phone. It's like I'm disconnected from everything and I just allow myself to walk and allow my thoughts to just sort itself out. I live on the beach, so I'm like, I'll walk to the beach and sit on the beach and somebody could go ride a motorcycle. Maybe driving is that meditative thing for you that you can do. Turn off your music and just drive. Like it's going to be different for every single person,
Mm-hmm.
but that to me
Something to
is,
disconnect, basically. Disconnect from the
yeah.
outer world and start connecting with the inner world, right? And nature
Hmm.
around us. Yeah.
Yeah. And so those are two things that I recommend for becoming aware of yourself, starting to disconnect with everything and start to re-engage with your actual body. And then for actual everyday use, if say you're in meetings all day and you have some time in between, instead of running around being like, I have to do this, I have to do this, give yourself 5 minutes to do some type of breath work to come
Mm-hmm.
back into your body, to reconnect with your body.
Like
Because
like
when you
box breathing.
it could be box breathing. I have breathwork videos for free that you can do for like 10-15 minutes on my YouTube channel. And it's just teaching you how to come back into your body to tune everything else out because
Perfect.
that's where you're going to get answers. If you have a lot of problems going on and you go and you do breathwork and you start to get into your body, you're like, oh, like I
You
don't
get
actually have a problem. Or you get downloads that were previously cluttered because you were running around or like looking
mm-hmm.
at your phone. You didn't have the space to receive that. So,
Truly getting out of your own way.
yeah.
And your
Yeah.
YouTube channel, is that under your name too? That's that it is.
Nina Elise, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I thought. Well, it's been such a pleasure having you on, Nina.
Yes.
I mean, I've learned a lot and I continue to learn a lot, and I think you are just really an expert in your field. So the best way to get a hold of you is through your website?
Yep, at nina-elise.com.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. And if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. And also, you can find this on my podcast, which is on Spotify and Apple. We've got a lot of more wonderful guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. So we will see you soon. And Nina, thank you so much for joining us today. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful. Thank